BBH Vostik here, just bringing you my first commentary video on Call of Duty Black Ops. In this video I'm going to be going over some basic gameplay knowledge, things you should and should not do, and just generalized information that everyone might need to know. Advanced tips and information will be coming in later videos as long as this one is appreciated. So if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to subscribe, comment, and give me your feedback. And I hope you liked the video. Okay, so first things first, let's look at our Create a Class section. The first thing to notice is that you have different classes for different scenarios. So you want to make sure that depending on what you may run into, you're prepared for it. Kind of like this one here is the average core run-of-the-gun situation. You got your flak jacket, your ninja sleight of hand. Now the weapon that you want to use is completely optional, depending on what your gameplay is. But a lot of people don't use Ghost in core just because of the muzzle flash shows up on the radar anyway, so it's kind of not a big deal. But you want to stay away from explosives. Now if you want to snipe, however, I would suggest using Ghost Pro and Scout Pro, just for the longer breaths, and that way you're not seen by aerial vehicles and UAVs and stuff like that. You also want to have a Claymore in your setup just so that you can kind of have something protecting your back in case your teammates are not dependable. Now, on to hardcore settings, I would suggest using a silenced weapon with Ghost Pro, Hacker Pro, and Sleight of Hand. The reason for this is that way you can see a Claymore down the line and you don't have to run into it, and Ghost that way that you're completely off of the radar regardless of a UAV or not, and also that way that the aerial vehicles also cannot still hit you. It's very important that you not be seen by these because well, basically you don't lose your kill streak or die. Now the next thing I want to talk about is knowing your surroundings. Any good Call of Duty player will do the homework. You will, go to each map. You will know the surroundings, what's in it, what's not, and you should be able to walk backwards through the map. And one way to do this is to get into a private match and hit the start button, get familiar with the map, like it in here, and kind of know where things are located at inside the map. When you're playing with teammates, however, you will see their green arrows, or blue depending on if they're your party, and you will kind of see where they're holding up so that you know that that area is somewhat safe and secure. This also allows you to know if you have any weak spots in your setup. Like in this position here, my teammates are running around kind of wild, and I am not safe. So in just a second, I'm going to die by some random guy because my teammates couldn't hold down that lane. By periodically hitting the start button, you are able to see what's weak and what is not, and you are able to react with that. But be careful though. Hitting the start button puts a light bulb above your head and is easy to be seen. Now another tool that is able to be used is the select button. Now not a lot of people know about this or use it, so this is another one that's important. You can monitor your score here. You can see who is alive, who is dead on your team in objective-based games with respawn times, and you can also see your kill-death ratio, your personal score, and just how things are going with your connection. Now this is very important in objection-based games that have a spawn timer or a search and destroy. You can see how many is dead, how many is alive, and generally speaking the spawn time is set up on a wave system so you can kind of coordinate with your teammates who is alive and who is not, and how many is left to go. Now after you've done your homework on the map, you need to know a little bit about the buildings that are inside of it. Usually buildings have multiple entrances, and you need to know each one of them in case they're being camped or protected. This one here has 2, which is the generalized idea, and then some of these buildings, like this one, has 4 different ways of getting into it, 3 known and 1 not so known. You can go up the air conditioner like you just seen there. That's one way of getting up. The conventional ladder, but a little noisy unless you have Ninja Pro. You can drop in and take the stairwell, which is usually guarded by Claymores or someone. And then one little treat for you guys that I haven't really seen utilized before, that I discovered just randomly. But if you go up here on top of this little sniper perch and you get on this edge and you run and sprint off of the ladder, you can make it to the ledge there, bypassing the Claymores, and it's a neat little trick. It looks great in a kill cam if you get someone with it. So now the next thing I want to talk about is the most important thing I can stress in a basic guide is sprinting. Everyone uses the sprint button excessively. If you get caught sprinting, 9 times out of 10 you're going to die. Now, just remember, when sprinting up a lane like this in the open, your aim down sight pulls up a lot slower than it would if you were to just shoot normally. Dolphin diving, sprinting, it all is also a lot slower. So you see that the reaction time here is different when I'm just zooming in normally, or if I'm actually sprinting and trying to pull up for my aim down sight. This little bit of time can make the difference between life and death, so if it's not important, don't. Sprinting is to be utilized in open areas, such as this right here. To my left, I have an extremely large amount of view space for people to shoot me. So sure, I want to sprint through that area right there. But the area that you want to stay away from sprinting, in which 90% of the players that I see in kill cams, is they're sprinting into buildings or around corners. Make sure that you look in the areas that you're going to go into cautiously, because you don't want to just die unnecessarily. It's like Mama always said, you want to look both ways before crossing the street. It's not any different inside the game. This next little bit here is for aiming and predictive shooting. Now, I have 4 positions at the location here to cover. I've got the container, I've got the upper part of the garage, the door of the garage, and in the right side of this red building next to the garage in between the container, which sometimes people spawn in. Now, unless you're absolutely sure of where they're going to come from, you don't want to be aimed down on directly on one of them, because someone may come from the furthest point of which one you're watching, and you just don't have enough time to get your aim on them. So what the idea is to find the middle point of your most wide view, and to sit in that center until someone appears in target, and then you can react as fast as possible because you're in the center of all 4 positions. It's really difficult to get used to, but once you master it, it will make your reaction time so much quicker. Using equipment can be successful into helping you succeed a game, whether it's team deathmatch or objection based, so make sure that you utilize them. Now, in this video I'm using Claymores, which is what I do 90% of the time because I'm a hardcore player. I don't normally have a mini-map to use like motion sensors or jammers and stuff like that. One basic thing to remember when placing a Claymore is that you have it in a position to where it covers the most amount of space or entrances into the building so that you're secure. So once you find a place that you want to camp, like here, in this case, this is my favorite building on firing range, I want to place the Claymore in the bottom to where it's facing both doorways. That way I know that I'm covered if someone wants to come into it. If they come through this door, hey, I got you. You know, if they want to come in through this door, well, guess what? They're going to hear click, click, boom. Flat Jacket Pro is a perk that a lot of people use in Core, so just go ahead and be ready for that. When you're using Claymore, Flat Jacket can basically take one grenade or one Claymore to the face without dying, as you see in the video here. Now, after you regenerate, you can take it again. But what I like to do with my Claymores is I like to set them near something else that is explosive, so that when it goes off, regardless of Flat Jacket or not, I'll go ahead and get the kill. Like in this case here, I shoot the Claymore, my Flat Jacket is spent because it's taking one explosive, but the car behind me also explodes in a chain reaction, causing in a secondary explosion, which my Flat Jacket cannot sustain, so I die. When camping in buildings like this one here, as you can see this guy was a victim of, I like to place it on the stairwell here so that not only do the beams hide the Claymore, but the Jeep below it also acts as the secondary chain reaction explosion. This guy thought he was smart enough to get by it with Flat Jacket, but the Jeep said no. Continuing on with equipment, the next thing I want to talk about is your secondary, your non-lethal equipment. In my case, I use smoke 90% of the time because I play ejection-based games. Now, when you're sprinting across an open area or you're having to cover an objective, use your smoke to use as a cover to get by. If you're fast enough when having to turn corners like in this restroom here, the smoke is still active, and it also acts as a secondary protection from that other lane as well. Use it carefully, it will save your life. On to my favorite thing in the game, frag grenades. Now, I don't use Semtex, I use frag because you can cook them off. Like in this position here, you don't want to just throw it up there and let it clank around and let some sniper know, hey, someone's trying to blow you up, get out. So what I do is I get in a private match, get my timing down with the grenades, and basically you want to pull the pin at a distance so that they can't hear you pulling it. and then you want to cook off the amount of time and add in the travel time of the grenade so that as soon as it hits, it blows up. They don't know it's coming and they can't get away from it. Now, if you're not using the flak jacket like I am in this video, you want to be careful how long you cook it, because if you miscalculate the amount of time, it actually will explode before or shortly after it leaves your hand, leaving you dead. And basically, you just made yourself look like a jackass. Alright, the next thing to talk about is your gun accuracy. Depending on which one you use, it is different. Every gun has its own stats. Now, when you're in close range, close quarter combat, firing from the hip can be extremely effective and might possibly save your life if you do not aim down the sight. Like in this video here, the further away I get from the target, the less accurate my gun becomes. So obviously the further away I am from the target, I want to aim down my sights. As in this one right here, I barely hit the thing, if nothing at all. Now, when you aim down the sight, your grouping pattern of your bullets become much more tight and a lot more accurate. So make sure that at a distance you aim down sight. Now, in a lot of situations, when you run up on someone, you may start firing from the hip and pull up on your sight as you start firing. Now, this allows you to go ahead and start putting bullets in the air and allows you to start increasing your accuracy in case those bullets missed. So you want to make sure that depending on what you're doing, you're ready for that person and you're not just firing from the hip all the time, because, well, basically you're just not going to hit anything. Now, this is another tactic I like to use called Call of Duty Parkour. Basically, it's getting around the map in the fastest amount of time possible. Now, like in this position here, I'm climbing through the window and I can still shoot if I do it that way, but if I try to climb through the window, I'm extremely slow. So what I try to do is I try to jump through the window, tapping B, crouching my knees underneath me, and I sail through the window in a small amount of time while I'm still able to fire in air. Now, if you climb through the window, you can't do that because your gun disappears. Now, in other situations, when you're up in the air like this one here, you can use the Call of Duty Parkour technique to get through areas without being exploded by grenades or tubes or whatever the case. Like this here, I'm moving through it so fast that possibly I may miss being blown up. Also, if you aim it correctly, you can get to cover quicker and you can get around the map a lot faster. Now, you have to be very careful on how you use Call of Duty Parkour because it may get you killed. In this event here, we're using the technique dolphin diving. It's very effective jumping through a window or a door or something like that on an unexpected target, and it looks cool as crap if you're the final kill, you know. So get a little style in it. Now, in this video here, I want to show you why it's important to be careful, because if you're not using Lightweight Pro and you do a little dolphin dive off of a high dive like this here, well, you're going to die. As this guy, he thinks he's got something going on, and oh wait, nope, you're dead. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that if you're using it off of like skydiving techniques, you want to make sure that you have Lightweight Pro, because, well, quite frankly, you don't want to die trying to shoot someone and then make yourself look like a jackass again. So let me go ahead and run up here to this tower so I can show you what I'm talking about. As you've seen that I just died off using Flak Jacket, and Flak Jacket does not absorb fall damage that well. So here I'm using Lightweight Pro and Marathon. Now, when I run off of this building in the exact same position, the exact same angle, I am able to successfully dolphin dive without any damage whatsoever. And if I get a kill, I'm going to be the talk of the game for a few minutes. Again, I want to thank everyone for listening in to this first commentary video by BBH Vostik. If you'd like to learn more, stay tuned. More episodes will be coming up. Also, you can check out our Clan